Well, this is probably the funniest problem I've ever encountered in my entire life. I don't know where my crank pulley is. Actually, I do. It's on the side of the road on Route 15 about 7 miles away from here. Because that's when I thought I lost the power steering or the alternator belt. My wife's gonna be pissed. Trying to get the crank pulley apart on the white car. I have a little handy dandy Harbor Freight steering wheel puller, you know, like the little cheap one. And it's stripped. I've used it 3 times. Each time, obviously, for pulling a crank pulley off when it's a steering wheel puller, but it didn't work. So I'm off to rent a harmonic balancer puller from Advance Auto, and then I got to take it back today because, I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna need the money. I got the crank pulley puller kit from Advance. It was $153 after tax, but luckily I'm gonna be able to take it back. So I'm gonna go home, yank the crank pulley off the other car, jam the new pulley I have on, which is, I think the one I have is an AFX, like an old school one, and the one that fell off the car, I believe, is a Unorthodox Racing, but I think it was actually an OBX knockoff of an Unorthodox Racing pulley. But anyway, it's junk. I mean, it would probably be fine if it had, you know, Loctite on the bolts. It'd probably still be in the car. I didn't even know what was on it. I didn't even look at it. Like, I had no clue what crank pulley was on that. And I didn't care. It turned the alternator. That's all I cared about. I kind of want to put a stock pulley on it. I drive so much. It only makes sense. Anyway, let's go to the house and get this knocked out. That's me. So anyway, I borrowed this thing from Advance Auto. I already have it kind of installed, and they say to not use an impact gun on it, so I'm going to use an impact gun very slowly on it because I'm lazy. Actually, well, I bottomed that out, but also it's free, so that's cool. Got it off. That worked out much better than the other one did. And I get to throw this little piece out. And it looks like it was, I mean, nicely installed and everything, but just did not work out for me. I'll pack this up. Crank pulley's on a Neon. It's kind of an interference fit. You basically put it on, and you know, sometimes there's an installation tool that you can get, which is just a threaded rod with a jam nut, and you just crank it down. Other times you can just take the long crank pulley bolt, put it on there, and just hammer it home. I'm putting on an aluminum underdrive pulley. It's a very old one. It's from a company called AFX, which they're kind of around, but not a reliable company to buy parts from anymore. But anyway, I digress. What I'm doing right now is I'm heating up the crank pulley. Because it's all aluminum, you don't have to worry about, you know, like the rubber separating like on a stock crank pulley. So I have my heat gun sitting on it, cooking it. I'm just gonna get it as hot as I can. Yeah, I accidentally got into my pressure gauge some. Ha! That sucks. I hope it still works. This thing is, I mean, it wasn't expensive, but it was nice. It worked rather well. I'm just gonna hope that cools down. Get it to the point where you've hit it with a torch and it starts to turn blue. It's hardened and it kind of becomes unsafe. If you get the aluminum up to about 200 degrees, it expands just enough so that you can just slide them on and put the crank pulley bolt on and then tighten it down and you're good to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat this up, and it'll probably slide on about halfway, and then I'll hammer it home with the impact gun. This whole time I did not know that this was just a little rubber cover just to make it a little bit nicer to have in your hand. It's just a regular pressure gauge with a slightly better nozzle on it. So anyway, I'm going to put that little nozzle or the little cover back on it because I like it. 4x4 tire gauge. I guess it's so you can help air down faster, but you can't, I mean, there's no, there's not many notches between 0 and 10 pounds, so I wouldn't say it's a very reliable one. So it's been several minutes, so I'm gonna see if the crank pulley's ready to come out of the oven. Yeah, this thing's hot. Oh yeah, that's that's freaking hot. These are just work gloves. Oh dude, that's almost mint. I just slid on there. Well, let's check the alignment. That looks pretty well lined up from where I'm looking at. Well, we've done this once before on the gray Neon that I stopped driving. At some point when I had more brain power, I figured out the belt I needed for my AFX underdrive pulley. It's a 4PK0785 or 310K4 belt, and that's for AFX underdrive pulley and a first gen alternator. Put this belt on and hope it doesn't get kicked off. I still need to loosen it some. Trying to do this all with one hand while watching what's going on through the camera. It's really a inefficient way of working. All right, let's see if that lines up in real life and not on camera. It kind of looks like it does. You're gonna hear construction work because they're moving the bobcat and all that. Not a bobcat, it's a skid steer. We're moving a skid steer and all that crap over there. So that's cool. So kind of the rule of thumb I heard, what is this? The rule of thumb I'd heard for alternator belts and the like is if you can twist them by hand halfway, pretty good. This is a little tight, I think. So, but I'm gonna start the car and see what it sounds like. So here's it running, and you can see down there a little bit. It does look a little goofy. Center bolt and the washer are really far offset, but the belt seems to be riding okay. It's not making any crazy sounds. It's spinning the alternator fine, so I'm gonna call this a success, and probably gonna wrap this up here soon. Try and put the front bumper back on this, and then call it a day, I guess. Yeah. What a time to not have the camera rolling, dude. Oh my god, I just did the dumbest thing. So the parking brake on this does not work that well. And I guess when I parked this in the yard or on the driveway, I didn't park it in gear, I'm guessing. So I'll just show you what it looks like now. So the front bumper was about where that cardboard was because I was kneeling on it. I ran over my zip tie container. I clobbered the tow dolly again. I pushed it into the SRT, which I'm not happy about. And I'm not sure if I actually hit the barn or not. Can't really tell. Or if I did, the tire hit it because the tire was turned. But I did something a little smart. By a little, I mean very little. I had the floor jack under the front of the car, and when I dumped it, the car started rolling, so I was gonna try and like quick jack it up and realized I didn't have time, so I just let it go. And the car, you know, hit the jack and then scooted forward, and I think it did clip the hit the tire on the barn, like on the foundation. Man, that was really stupid. And the parking brake has never worked good on this, and I've just dealt with it. But I really need to chalk it. You know, they always say, you know, it only takes one accident. That could have f***ed me up. That could have really f***ed me up. Or somebody was out here with me, like heaven forbid, my kids. I could have really got f***ed up doing that. So I lucked out. I really lucked out. So now I got to fix the parking brakes on this, which I've never fixed them on any disc brake car. So that's cool. Well, what up, nerds? The Neon is done. It's, you know, back to normal. I'm driving it again. It's returning 38.5 miles to the gallon and probably a quart of oil every week to every other week. It's burning oil really bad. It's got bad valve seals. It's using a little coolant, and I'm not sure if it's pushing it off into the overflow. My crappy overflow can is burning it off, or if it's burning it in the cylinder head, or, you know, in the combustion chamber. So that's something I'm gonna have to address. But I mean, as of now, I don't need to do anything to it. I can just keep driving it back and forth to work. I might want to put in the first gen seats here soon, and then put on some snow tires because tomorrow's December 1st and it's gonna start snowing up this way. Still fun to drive. I like fast cars, right? And I like having fun, but there is something about just beating the crap out of a 15-second car and acting like it's an absolute missile. It makes my commute enjoyable and engaging rather than just existing for, you know, 4 hours a day. That's about the long and short of it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you would, please, because it helps. It's going to help me grow the channel. I use the same username just about everywhere. Thanks for watching. And if you like camera stuff, let me know, because I'm starting to do more stuff with cameras because I haven't been able to wrench like I'd like to. So I'm currently using a lens that I found of my dad's from, I'd assume, 63 or 64 on a Canon EOS M3 camera. So if you like stuff like that, let me know and I can bring it up. And if you just want to see me, you know, throw hammers at shit boxes, I can do that too. And don't forget, you know, an hour a day will make the jack stands go away, but sometimes shit happens and you're not able to get it done, and that's fine too.